have to make it up, but we have to make it up off spring break. We're in for spring break.
Can I just ask a quick question?
Yes.
What's the thought with taking away time from the spring break?
Because I wanted us to, I don't know, and that's why we have to get a little bit more feedback from Greyhawk and Spiesel. I don't know if we're going to need additional time next summer to make sure we have enough time in the 2020 summer to do the construction work. So I asked Dr. McGarry prepared version 3 for that purpose.
Version 2 and version 3 actually ended the same week. It's not a big difference. So
I think it's, I know, if you get notice to proceed and start.
So the 15 and 18 end, I think for the safe side, for the snow days, probably we still keep the spring break there, just in case we do have a big snowstorm more than ever than we're going to do.
And the other issue is that why we can't do much is because December, the way the Christmas holidays fall in December, it creates one of these perfect storm type. Well, I mean, it's like December is like God. There's so many days off that. Terrence, you have any? I'm gonna go around. I'm gonna take a walk around. I'm gonna go this way. JB, you have any comments? Do you have any preference? Version 2, version 3?
We have to.
We don't have to decide anything today.
Yeah, I mean, just off the bat, I would say I would want to keep the spring break in, but obviously we have to see about Spiesel. But I don't know what 2 days would be to help, and I think spring break is just something that we should keep.
Lori, your thoughts?
I agree, version 2 would be my vote, but if Spiesel thinks those extra 3 days is going to be impactful to their work, then we have to just wait to see what they say.
Joe?
I have a question on version 1. The reason that we thought on that one that we would start later because they needed it more next summer. Do we know whether they're going to be doing a lot of construction?
They said they won't need it.
They said they don't need it.
That's what they told us last week.
So they're not doing they're not planning to start this construction until the following summer.
They're going to do construction, it just is not going to impact.
It won't be interior, it'll be more exterior. So the addition.
So they don't. Okay, so it's not going to.
Because we're going to end early too.
In terms of staging a lot of the construction, the additions have to be completed before things can really sort of be moved to those to make room to do the internal. So this summer is probably going to be mostly focused on the 3 addition pieces to the complex.
Okay, got it. Okay, that's what I was trying to understand. Okay, that's good. So I guess my take on it is I'm leaning towards version 2 because I don't think 2 days is going to make that big a difference.
That's happening.
Robert, first a quick question, or at least a reminder for me. If I remember correctly, a 4-hour school session still count as a full day as far as the state's concerned.
Correct.
Okay. So, I mean, the 2 things I think we should think about. Okay. And then I add this caveat, having been through this about 8 times already. My preference is to support a calendar that our superintendent believes provides the greatest opportunity for educational excellence. And it's my assumption that the calendar he's presenting, that is the primary thought, not so much trying to capture a chock block of different holidays that we scatter around this calendar. But there are 2 things I think we should consider. And we did discuss this in the Community Relations Committee. The first is, I really do believe that December 20th half day should be a full day. It provides a full week of education. And that the 20th, instead of being a half day, should be a full day, and the 23rd should be the half day. I just think that that creates a continuity that is beneficial. I leave that to the educators to decide if I'm right or wrong on that, but I think it's something we should consider. The second is really the consideration of the 24th, whether it should be a full day off or whether it should be a half day. I know all of the arguments around this. This is the Chinese New Year, which falls on a Saturday. The reason that we might want to consider that being a half day, there are 2-fold possibilities. One is that gives you the extra day if you want to push your closing of the school year from the 18th to the 17th. That's one option. Second option is if you move that day to the 14th of February, then you have 4 full days off in the February period, which creates a semblance of a true break, a long weekend. It's obviously going to involve some, it's a difficult decision. If you want to go that route, I think it's something the board should consider. Beyond that, I'm happy with version 2. I don't think we should gerrymander the April vacation and leave it as it is. Part of the reason, by the way, for my thoughts on the 20th being a full day and the 23rd being a half day is if you take a look at the calendar, it falls into one of those periods in which, because Christmas and New Year's happen in the middle of the week, it is the longest potentially continuous period of kids being away from school. And so to me, certainly when I was growing up, we always had as our half day Christmas Eve, to be honest. So having the 23rd as a half day, I think is fine. So that would be my recommendations for consideration by the board.
My question is, which version do you prefer?
Version 2.
Yeah, I'm okay with that as long as Weasel and Greyhawk don't have any objections. What are the questions that came up, if you could?
Yeah, so one of the questions that came up, a concern was around the week of January 20th, which on version 2 has Monday as Martin Luther King Day and Friday as the day for Chinese New Year. And so I posed to the principal of the Jersey Shore Chinese School, because in essence, the students go and perform for other schools that are open that day for Chinese New Year, would they consider doing those performances on the 27th so we have more days in that week than not, and not enticing to take that whole week off if a family wanted to go on a vacation, you're only missing 3 days of school. The response back was they really prefer the 24th.
Ms. Lou, do you have a preference?
Yeah. So version 2 is more gears to me.
Mr. Reddy?
Yeah, I think version 2, I think the biggest reason is as long as the Greyhawk and the architect is comfortable with starting on the 4th, that's fine. And I know this year the big decision was we took away spring break, and to almost do that again, and that was supposed to be an anomaly that we weren't going to do that. So I think putting it back will. I don't personally go away on spring break. I don't think a lot of times, but I think a lot of people will be happy to have that full week. So definitely version 2 for sure.
Mrs. Brunetti?
In lieu of giving construction folks more time, I am in favor of version 3. I understand that it's a sacrifice to spring break, and I get that's really important to people, but I also think it's really important to give as much time to construction at this point as we can give them, so I'd be voting for version 3.
So Dr. McGarry will report back at the next.
I'll bring that to committees again
Thank you, everyone.
and try to seek other input like Mrs. Ramuzzi in the back of the room and our association, so that they've had a chance to take a look at this as well.
I do like to try to get our own. That's why I like version 3. Like this is, any other new business?
So one item, for 2019, two things I wanted to briefly discuss. One was the meeting structure. I was interested to know if the board prefers the subcommittee meeting structure piece or might be interested in the 2 meetings a month format. And so if Dr. McGarry, if you could just briefly share the difference. I just want to put it on the table for consideration for the leadership team for 2019 of what method may work, what may enhance the transparency, although the hard work of the subcommittee notwithstanding. If we can talk about that a little bit and at least discuss and decide to maintain the current, not tonight, but to maintain the current structure or to look at the alternate structure.
So you're speaking of like a committee of the whole.
That's correct.
So 1 meeting a month would be a committee of the whole where all committee work would be discussed in public. And then the second meeting would be the action meeting.
We'll call the board.
Thank
Anything
you.
else?
Yeah, the only other item is, to the extent the board is interested in enhancing the budget process in terms of layering in earlier public discussion, and I referenced this at a prior meeting when I was not on the board, of having departments come in, or perhaps the major departments come in and review their structure and some of their needs and goals directly with the board to educate and inform the board, and also enhance the transparency and information to the taxpayers and the folks that would visit the meetings. I would just like to consider methods of enhancing the transparency and putting the information on the front end in the public sphere, so there's a more informed electorate, more informed taxpayer prior to casting votes on the budget. Thank you.
Is there any formal process where we can start setting goals as a board, not as a
It's
district?
not a formal process. We could do it, if we would like to do it a little earlier than we do last year, we could start talking about it in terms of our committee structure. If we do committee structure next.
Set goals within committees?
Yeah, start talking about it. We can put it at the end of each meeting or within the meeting. The committee chairs can start working with the administrators and looking at goals.
Just a quick question as a follow-up to Mr. Wall's recommendation involving a committee of the whole. I think one of the reasons why we go with a committee structure is it's a timing issue. So, for example, personnel, we meet as close as we can to the upcoming meeting, so we have the latest personnel items. Whether those items can be provided 2 weeks ahead of the meeting, I don't know. I have to. That is one challenge. The second is, from a budget and finance perspective, we've often tried to get as close as we can to our board meetings, so we have the latest financial details from our business administrator to be able to consider. So, I mean, I think the general concept of committee of the wholes is certainly one to be considered. I think part of the challenge has been more of a timing issue than anything. So it may actually end up being, I think, the possibility of a hybrid approach, where if there are certain committees that can be dealt with without time being a problem, like I think community relations would be an example, that would be fine, but I think we have to keep that part in mind. Whatever is the most efficient and effective.
I think you should have as many meetings as you can.
Okay, Joe.
Actually, I just wanted to.
As long as you attend them.
Yeah, I will attend every single. Yeah, I just actually wanted to say that at one point, I think I like Terrence's idea about the more visibility in the budget stuff. And the reason that in the past we had done the budget presentation, but then people would come up and say, well, this is the first we're hearing on it and you're voting on it. So I think having the schools or the principals or whoever you want to bring up, these are the major issues that we're trying to get budget for. In the past, when I was president, we read out kind of some of the top level items that were in the budget that we were considering and looking into. And I think that was well received by the public, but I actually like that idea better of the principals or whoever, the athletic director, et cetera, that coming up and saying, hey, these are the areas or these are the things that we find important, because I think it would provide a lot more visibility, and you get probably much more public comments on certain areas that maybe that they feel strongly about. So.
I thought the budget presentation they did this year was very well done.
Yeah.
I thought it had a lot of good information in there, and we can share it with the community, right? Maybe we'll get the township to share it too.
Having chaired the Budget and Finance Committee for many, many years, and I would just to add on to what Joe and Terrence are saying, what I would like to see as a potential possibility is, the past experience has been that what we get as a budget from a committee standpoint is a proposed budget plus a series of recommendations that are scored from A, B, and C level on importance. And as a committee, we often discuss it inside the committee structure, but I think that there could be some value that as a tip-off to the whole budgetary process, we did have administrators come before the board and share with us their wish lists and why they are wish lists. so that it gives us some additional flexibility and perspective as we then jump into the actual budget and make decisions whether or not we need to make some changes or additions or modifications based on the wish list. But the only caveat that I would add to that is I really do feel that after a wish list is provided by administrators that we have guidance from the superintendent as to what he sees as his priorities, because in many ways our budget is a reflection of the priorities that are shared by the superintendent.
Mr. Reddy?
New business? So, new business that I wanted to at least bring up in public. So, conferences, obviously in high school and SATs, and I've heard from a lot of people, including my wife and other people, that unfortunately many people tried to get conferences and could not. And I think as a board and as administration, if we offer conferences to parents, it shouldn't be a Billy Joel Bruce Springsteen concert that, sorry you got in there at 8:10, you didn't get your conference. I mean, people in this town pay thousands of dollars in taxes. The least we can do is give them 10 minutes with a teacher if and when they want to see this teacher. I know they can make meetings other times,
Yeah, I would like to say,
but, you know,
so
so...
Walker, you sent that email out about make sure you could, if you didn't get in, because I was in a board committee meeting at the time that we were supposed to
Right.
get our wristbands. But every single teacher I contacted got right back to me and set me up, so thank you so much. Tell them thank you for taking the time.
But
Yeah, just-
the point is, if many parents are not going to do that, many parents aren't going to do it, they're going to go onto a website, they're not going to get through, and I just think we owe it to them. If someone wants to see a teacher, they should be able to see it. It shouldn't be that they get shut out, and I know you can make a phone call, I know you can send an email, but I think a lot of parents in this district do not know that, and to have them come, oh, I can only get to see the gym teacher, or whatever teacher it is, not the teacher they want to see. And many people think the conferences are only for kids that are struggling. Parents still want to see these teachers regardless because they care. And in high school, I get the kids get older and things like that, but still the 7th and 8th grade, they're still little babies. They're still little kids that, you know, people want to see it. So that's my new business on the conferences. So I think as administration, as a board, if we need to work with the teacher contract, things like that, to make it open to all, I think we should be doing that. So I don't know if anyone else got, you know, shut out, things like that.
Just remind me something about the new business and the calendar. Dr. McGarry, next year, when we do this calendar, can we put the half days, thank you, for Indian Hill and everything?
I agree wholeheartedly with it, because I got locked out as well. And we were in there like literally 9 or 10 minutes after it. And it kind of gets crazy, and it almost feels like, you know, it shouldn't be the lottery or how quick you are or when you're available. You know,
I also have found,
What?
and even before I was, I found that teachers always get back to us so quickly.
Yeah,
And they set up time all the time.
I don't think
So
there's
I would
anything
encourage
with
anyone
the-
listening to do that. Don't ever wait, don't even wait for the parent-teacher conference session. Like, if you have a problem, reach out to your teacher. They'll
There's no
get back.
problem, it's just the conversation. So
Yeah.
many people want to do it, so all we got to do is just get it in the contract another day. I know it's hard, I know it's a give and take type thing, so.
So to your point, we have already discussed this as an administrative team. The principals and I discussed it 2 weeks ago and discussed it again today. And Dr. Seeley is discussing it with a team of teachers as well through committees there. And so we're hoping to come up with some alternatives to the Billy Joel concert wristbands.
You know what I was saying, right?
Maybe we can put it on Netflix.
You could sell times.
Yeah, and there might be a way to do it, you know,
Fundraiser.
I don't know, maybe have it shifted throughout, and it doesn't necessarily have to be at night, maybe you could have it during, you know, instead of having an extra help day, do a teacher meeting or something. I mean, there could be alternatives to do it during the day as well, so. I have one other new item that, I don't know whether it's new or old, but I apologize, I had to step out for a meeting, or a call. Pete, under BG&S report, the lights for the, I know we had discussed, or there was a, putting lights behind the fields, on the side where the bleachers are, where the snack stand is. In the past, there's a lot of bleed over on the field lights, and there wasn't, you know, it basically lit up the entire back area. But with our new lights, and it's very focused on the field itself, there's a lot of black and dark areas where there's a lot of little kids playing, and I think there's a safety issue for trying to get lighting in that area. And I know there were some quotes about, or we were looking into getting quotes to see how much it would cost to add additional lighting. But I think we ought to provide lighting in there and also look at if that field does in fact become a field back there, the possibility of lighting that field up for other athletic uses as well. So I know we were looking into it, but I do think that it's both a safety issue and it could also turn into something where we could get an extra lit field in that area. So I hope that doesn't get lost in all the referendum activity that's going on.
Well, we didn't report out, so obviously a couple months ago, the architect went back and looked behind the visitor bleachers, what potential lighting would that would be. And they also, in this past month, they went and showed what that lighting, I guess the strength of the lighting would be. And then they also looked into behind by the snack stand where the tennis courts are now. They looked at what would lighting back there look like. We didn't price anything out on back there, but from what they were saying, if you put the lights on the existing structures, the lights back there I think would have a lot less quality than the ones behind the visitor bleachers, as they were saying. But it was definitely discussed, definitely not getting lost, but I guess, like we have at least pricing for behind the visitor bleachers.
Yeah, I think it could be both. I mean,
I agree.
You know what I mean?
And then we discussed maybe there's shared savings with the town or shared profit with the town. If there was a certain things that they would want to help fund, things like that, that would be discussions would be nice to have.
Yeah, and I know that the other item that I wanted to ask about was the lighting of one of the softball fields in the back by the TC. I heard that they are planning on doing that. My question is I think there's some confusion around which field they want to light up, and I want to make sure it's clear from the, what's that?
I'm going to talk to Mayor Patelli because initially I had heard that that's what they wanted to do, and then as you know, they came back and told me they didn't want to do that. Maybe it's back the other way, I don't know.
Well, I heard that there was a lighting of the, what's it called, Geminera field or whatever, but that's not what the HYA guy wanted. They wanted one of the back, like one of the nicer new softball fields that we're doing.
Sure, that's why I was surprised, but
Yeah.
I will check in and report back.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
I have one final thing. Since I'm not going to be here next month, Joe, I just wanted to say thanks for the last 5 years working with you. I know I'm going to miss the pomp and circumstance and the cake and everything.
Billy Joel concert.
I am going to Billy Joel concert. Yes, I am. Like almost the Springsteen thing. So just pleasure working with you. It was good serving with you as vice president when you're president, and please come back to our meetings. There's 16 of them, so.
At this point, we have questions or comments from the public. Seeing none, move on to, we have no need for executive session. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Move.
Second.
All in favor, raise your hands. Thank you so much.